By the pricking of my thumb, something wicked this way comes. Hi, Happy Hoarder here, and today I am participating in SUMMER-WEEN, hosted by Annie from Indiana Jones. This is going to be a spooky fun collaboration, so be sure you check out all the videos in the playlist in the description below. My sweet friend Deb sent me boxes full of goodies, and in one of the boxes there was this plastic gumball tree, and I thought, I'm not much into the gumball tree thing, but I've got a great idea for this. I just happen to have a lot of old glue sticks hanging around, so I just started gluing hot glue all over the branches. As you see, there were actually 1.5 trees, so I cut the branches off of one of the trees and glued it onto the other two put together. Does that make sense? Sure. And then I glued lots of glue, lots of hot glue. So much hot glue that I thought my arm was going to fall off the next day from squeezing the trigger. I had quite a time with this, and so the first thing I did was kind of load it up with some glue, and then I came back, and if you see right here, I'm doing a little bit of carving with the hot point of the glue gun. So I played around with this, and this is one of those things, you can spend as much time as you want and just many details as you want and have a good time. And then I spray painted it with some gray primer, and by doing that I was able to see some of the areas that I missed and some of the areas that maybe needed a lot more detail. I also decided to invert the little tray that it sits in because I want it kind of sitting on a mound like this. So here I've spray painted everywhere, and you can see in little areas where I have needed a little bit more details. So I've added all these roots, and the root system went kind of crazy. But if you look closer, you can see it looks great when you do it kind of gnarly and twisty and turny like an old dead tree. And as I was making this, I was really thinking about all the old cypress trees on Lake Vistano, where our lake house is. And I was very inspired by that look. First of all, I painted it with the gray primer, and then I went and dry brushed it with the black. And there's still a lot of gray you can see. And now I'm going back with the brown, and I'm doing something different here. You know how much I love my floating medium, I know. So I'm mixing floating medium with just brown paint, and this is a Plaid product, of course, both of them. The floating medium is by Plaid, and I'm a Plaid Ambassador. And I am rubbing some of it off because using that extender definitely keeps it from drying as fast, and so you can kind of play with it. And also by doing it this way, it watered it down, but not in the same sense that water does. It's a sort of a gel, so it kind of helps everything kind of smoothly float across it while it's called floating medium, and it makes it so easy to work with. And it gave the tree more the brown look where the black was coming out, and I could still use some of the grays to just give it that third dimension. So that was just a lot of work, a lot of branches, but I did find the trick to this was paint all the ones going one direction and then turn and paint all, kind of flip the tree and go the other direction. But it was a lot of adding paint, wiping a little bit off. You know me, I get kind of picky with things like that. But I think it came out to be a really cool tree. Don't know if I would do a lot of these because there was a lot of hours of work involved and so many glue sticks. So many glue sticks. You would pretty much a glue stick per branch. I'm not kidding you, a lot of glue sticks. So it was fun though, and I just wanted you to see kind of how I did it and kind of the messy situation of my studio as I'm working. Hey, who has time to clean up when you're being creative? Just saying. So I'm putting some more touches on the tree. You can see more of the brown coming out, but stay tuned because I want you to see how it turned out at the end of the video. So keep watching because I have more projects to come. One's a pretty big one, and it was very detailed and involved a lot of stuff. So I found this photo box at my favorite thrift store, Rolling Hills Ministries in Ruston, and paid only $1.75 for it. But first, I was going to rip out all this stuff, and it did not act like it wanted to come out without a fight. I also had all these wonderful goodies that I got when I was in Miami visiting Annie herself. And we hit that Michael's $5 boxes and had a blast, but found all these wonderful little pieces that were perfect for this collaboration. So I've been hanging on to them just for this occasion. So I wanted to make a very small room box. So keep watching to see what comes out of this. Now, I had some pieces that I had made previously, and these are just made out of some like leftover pieces because I really wanted something for that little book to sit on. And so right now I'm just kind of, checking out everything goes inside the box and how, I think it fits and how I'm going to arrange it, trying out different things. My little table's a bit too tall for this. I'd have to cut the legs off. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. And looking at all my little pieces to decide what's going to go. Love that chair, and that clock is really cute, like hanging on the wall or something, but I really wanted a table for that book to sit on. And I also wanted something for that magic ball. Yeah, that thing to sit on too. Now, that's why I thought that table would be really good for it, but it was kind of big. So a little top heavy too. Not really loving it. So I'm just kind of giving everything a shot. See what I like. Because you do a lot of that. A lot of thinking goes on. I don't know about the rest of you, but I spend a lot of time planning and then end up winging everything in the end. So I don't even know why I'm planning anything. But my little table, I really like it. But I wanted this to sit on that table. I want the magic ball to sit on the table, but the little skull and the books are in the way, and I'm just thinking, you know how you do, you're just thinking about stuff. So I'm playing around with it, but keep watching, you'll see the decisions I came up with. Whether they were good or not, I don't know, but it sure worked out in the end, so we'll see. So what I did with my box, I finally got that horrible stuff out, and it was not fun, but I lined it with some paper that was from Hobby Lobby, and it is just scrapbook paper. Yes, I'm sitting on my carpet because it's so hot outside. I want to be somewhere it was air conditioned. And that is a piece of cloth that I had and some dog hair because I have a dog, actually I have two, in the house. One is kind of fuzzy. And I was using my cutting board. I was actually cutting fabric on my little cutting board over there. So I was cutting my fabric to fit. There are some gaps there, but I have a plan for that because I am going to be making my baseboards and my crown molding. I have been buying some wood for my dollhouses, and let me tell you what, that's expensive. So I bought this little fireplace that somebody had made, and it's so special, and right now I had to put a backing on it. And what I did is I took something off the back that said made by John A. Don't know what this last name is, 1927. I was going to put that in my haunted house, but now I'm decided I thought it would be really cute in this. I can always take it out and use it somewhere else. But getting back to my baseboards and everything, I'm making them out of mat board. And what I'm doing is I've cut two pieces. One is about 3/4 and one's just a little bit smaller. So 3/4 of an inch and just a tiny bit smaller than that. Don't get me into the eighths and all that. But I am going to layer those to make my baseboards, and then my crown molding is a little bit more complicated. I've cut 3 pieces for that. I've cut one a little bit wider, and I'm going to create the look of kind of an angle. So you'll have to watch to see how I do this. This is kind of interesting, and I'm kind of trying to give you an idea of what I'm going to be doing here before I glue it all in. So yeah, I had to give this some thought, but that's why I was in, had to be in air conditioning and on the floor, so I could really think about what I was going to do here. So I glued my narrowest piece to the top, my biggest piece on the bottom, and then I glued toothpicks to help me create that angle. So I'll have something for that other piece to glue to. And I did that on both sides, and I can't even explain how I did the back, but I did it in pieces so that it looked nice and neat. I don't know why I worked so hard to make something look neat, but if you can see, I had to cut it, where it would fit in between those two. Yeah, it's just kind of like show and tell right now, and then made the other one longer. I know, I just wanted it to look nice. And then what do? I go and distress the whole thing and make it look all grungy. So it's just, why do I make it so hard on myself? But I did because it was a great learning experience. So now that I got everything in and all my little toothpicks lined up, I'm ready for the next section to go in. And this is a piece that goes in at an angle. And I did cut the edge at once I put my first piece in, I cut my edges at that angle, which is whatever degrees. Supposed to be 45, but I don't think it is, so that it would kind of fit neatly up in there and also fit at an angle. I think it worked out really good, especially for a zero cost, because I have all this mat board around. So that kind of worked out. Now, as far as doing this on a really big scale, like on a big house, I think it'll still look kind of nice. It's just going to look a little bit different. You do need to put a lot of glue on there so it can kind of fill in the little gaps. So just want to make a note. And then so I got a lot of glue on that just for you, just to show you what it looked like. So there it is, all done, and looks kind of neat. Now it doesn't have the card, but it does look kind of cute. Now I am jumping ahead. My baseboard's pretty simple. They were just two glued together, stuck down, but they had just a little bit of a edge showing. Now I'm going in and doing all of this distress work. Y'all, this was hours because I am so picky and weird, but I spent hours doing this. Now back to my floating medium. I know I keep talking about my floating medium, and I'm going to talk about it again. So I used it. Like I said, it's better than using water because it's it's more of a gel, so it didn't soak into the paper. Now the paper, I didn't mention earlier, I just taped down because this is not something I saw as being a permanent thing. I might want to change it out later, so I didn't want to glue the paper to the box. So it's just taped on. It's a little bit loose. So if I got the paper wet, it was going to cause the paper to really, swell and things like that. So by using the gel medium, it kept it from swelling up, and it sat on the paper a lot nicer. And it's easier to work with because if I mess up, I can wipe it off, where water would have just eaten into the paper. So I do like using this product. If you haven't used it, please give it a try. I will include a link to it in my description. So check it out on Amazon, or you can buy it at your local craft stores. So I'm very picky, as you see. Now I want to point this out. I always speed up my videos, and people go, Jerry, quit speeding up your videos. This is how slow I paint, people. I'm slow and take forever to paint anything. So I didn't think you really want to watch me. I promise you, this is not slowed down. This is how slow I paint. So another thing that I did with that clock, because no, it will not fit above the mantle like I kind of first imagined that it would. So I built a lower cabinet for it. And I kind of like the way those little feet stuck out. So I just kind of worked with that with some dowels. And I also used this product called Elmer's Glue All. And that is my word of the day. Elmer's multi-purpose glue all is 30% stronger than the original formula. Versatile acid-free glue all adds a strong, durable bond on most materials like ceramics, wood, leather, and cardboard. Non-toxic glue dries fast and clear. So check it out. Not a sponsor. I got it in a goodie bag from my favorite thrift store, Rolling Hills Ministries. And if you're wondering what I was doing the whole time I was saying that, I am using epoxy for some detail work on my little project. That would have been a lot of fun if I had more time. I could have really done some fancy stuff. I just didn't want to spend that much time on this project. Best cure for everything, paint it all black and go from there. And I did, and then I added some distressing. This was fun. I, again, spent hours working on this because I was like, yeah, I should do this and take this off and add that. Love using epoxy. I've used it for different things like doll shoes and details and little things like that. So try it out. Now I did do a lot more, but my video was getting kind of long, so you'll have to check out my live. And I did include a link in the description below to show you how I made all these little detailed items for my room. My little room is very crowded, but why not? It just sounded like it'd be a lot of fun. So one of the things that I've included is the light in the background where my little fireplace is, and I'm just using a tea candle. I really wish I could have figured out what to do to make more of a flame and things like that, but for some reason it just worked out so cool the way it lit up that crow that is on the chair. I love it, but I would like to try to come up with a better plan for building a fire in there and wiring some lighting to it. But then requires drilling a hole and stuff like that. So right now, I'm just going to enjoy it the way it is. But keep watching because I'm going to show you all the little fun details that go along with this. And I'm going to show you how the tree turned out after I added the brown. It is much lighter now, and I did add moss to the bottom, which was always my plan. I didn't think you'd want to sit there and watch me glue all that moss, but I did try to glue it kind of in between so that the roots would show, kind of like creeping up out of the moss, so that was kind of fun. Yeah, I still have glue hairs. Yeah, glue hairs. You know what I'm talking about. So that's how the tree turned out, and it's fun. It's just this really cool looking old dead tree made out of a gumball tree of all things. So if you have an old gumball tree sitting around and not using it, or you find one at a thrift store, I hope I've inspired you to do something a little different with it. So there's a little bit of a glare when you look at the house through the door. And I have my light on it now, so it's really casting a glare. But I wanted you to take a look at how it all came out. Now, the original fireplace was brown, and I did go back and I painted it red using different reds, some with a little bit more brown, some with some black in it, some just some red, just to kind of give it some different textures, you know, different colors. I also added a lot more black around where the soot would have come out. So you put a lot of thought into your, you know, painting as you're doing this kind of stuff. But then I tried to leave the rest of it as much natural state that it was. So I really think it helped because I had the red carpet. Now that red carpet, which was actually a piece of a curtain, is a velvet, and it's got this really cool pattern on it. But I kind of like it because it looks like it's sort of a stained up, worn out carpet. So velvet does make a really good carpet for dollhouses, as well as upholstery fabric. Like the velvets and things like that look so good for carpeting. So if you're looking for something to carpet your house with. Now, what I worked on during my live stream were pictures and books. And I also, did I do anything else in that? No, but I also painted that cat, but we'll get back to the cat too. That cat came from a Dollar Tree box of animals, little bitty animals. So first thing I did with it was paint him, even though he's already black, I did paint him with a flat Mod Podge because I wanted to kind of dull him down some. But I'm looking at him like he's still pretty shiny though. So I may go back and hit him with some Mr. Super Clear. I didn't want him that plasticky shiny. Now he's a cat, he's black, and so he'd be shiny, but maybe not that shiny. I did try to paint those eyes and a little detail around his face, but that little, it's kind of crooked. That's kind of weird. So I did work on that. So here's how my book came out. Now what I did is I chipped off the books and the skull and that little thing off of the main table, and then I glued it back on there. But in doing so, I broke the books. And so I had to rebuild my books, and I used epoxy again to kind of rebuild a bottom book for that little stack of books, and it made it a little bit bigger than the original one was. So that was just a little way I fixed that. And it's very top heavy, it falls over very easily. And I also added some epoxy to the feet to give a little bit more detail. That is a candlestick that I made out of jewelry findings and a bead, and it's a little bit wonky and it doesn't want to stand up straight. So the candle is made out of a glue stick. Glue sticks make the best candles because they're kind of clear and kind of weird looking like that. And there's my crystal ball sitting on the table. And what I did, I tried to grind down that little piece of book that was left over. It would not come off, so I covered it with a piece of cloth, and we're just calling it a day. And so it worked. But I do love the crystal ball sitting on the table. I think it just bigger, and it made more of a statement on that wall because, you know, it was just going to be lost if I didn't have something big and bold showing up back there in that corner. And then here's a little book I made. The book, actually, I didn't make the book. The book came from a bunch of stuff that I bought, a bunch of dollhouse furniture, and had a cover that was made out of black electrical tape. So I put my podge on there to kind of dull it down, also to serve as a little bit of a surface to paint on. And I added this book cover that I made. I had some wax trying to close up my paper, and it was closed up all right. Couldn't get it up and up again. So I just want to show you how I kind of did that. I will say the one thing I did that I will do different next time, when making your own book covers, go ahead and make that extension on there so you can make it fold over. That just happened to have the fold over from the tape, so it just worked out. But next time I make my own book covers, I will do a fold, make sure I have plenty to fold around. Now that particular book cover, I stole it. I completely took that off the internet. Yeah, I did. I'm so bad. So that's a big version of it, and then here's a smaller version. And I drop it, and I drop it again and again. So then there's my chair. I did nothing to the chair. I have another chair like it that I painted red, and I used in a different scene, and I cut off the bird and did all that kind of stuff. But I really do like that chair purple, so I left it the way it was. And these are my little potion bottles. Now these are a bunch of bottles that I ordered online years ago, and I did pull the labels offline as well. And yeah, so that probably shouldn't have done that. So I'd like to make my own labels. I just didn't have time, so I just grabbed some, and they shrunk down so small you can't see them anyway. And then I put some stuff in there to make it look like it had stuff. And it's funny because those are like my spider web thing. I don't even know what's on that label. It has a spider. But I found like little pieces of glue and stuff that was on my table, my work table, and I just put it in there because I thought, well, that kind of looks like spider web stuff. So I threw it in there, and this little piece of black plastic that I had in there, it kind of looks creepy. I love it. It works. I also threw some sticks in my fireplace to make a little fire going. Just try to make it look adorable. So now you can see some of the details that I did with the epoxy, which is, great for sculpting. And the back I left pretty much plain. I did a lot of extra painting on that by putting some more gold around the edges of the clock face and little things like that. And here's something I really had fun doing. I pulled this wonderful photo off the internet of this precious little girl and her dog, and I made it look like she's holding the dog's head by just kind of eliminating the bottom of it by reproducing her skirt, and then added all the blood coming down. I know, it's Halloween-y, what can I say? And I love the flowers and her face of pure innocence as she's holding the dog head. I'm sorry, that's adorable. And I made the frame during my live stream out of fabric trims. And this was also made out of trim. This is actually one of my little gothic guys that I make, my porcelain doll repaints. So I had a photo of him, and I have some interesting poison stuff over here. Another label I took off the internet, and it looks like it's got a very weak Bloody Mary in there. Ugh, kind of gross. So yeah, I just mixed some paint water in there. What do you do? Come on. And this back picture that's stuck to the wall, that is another one of my gothic dolls that I painted. This I made out of a lid of something, and then that's just one of those like rhinestone-y things, and I love making these. And don't get started making these little things. It's addictive. I'm telling you, you just start making it out of everything. They're so much fun. These books I really did like. Another thing I stole off the internet, but I did some changes on it, and I did make my own spine and my own back for that one. And so I noticed this when I was kind of playing around with it. That looks like a face. I don't know. It's kind of creepy. But it was just something I just kind of painted with with a brush when I was distressing it. Once you get them on there, you kind of want to distress your books. Now, I made my books out of mat board. It was about 3 pieces of mat board per book, but that's all it took was cutting in about 3 pieces. And then when I painted it, it looked more like paper on the other side. And then I, of course, added a lot more distressing and things like that. And that's one of those little bead things that you make to look like it's a thing. Beads to make it look like it's a big thing, but not, it's a little thing. But anyway, those are fun. And then back to my little firewood in my fireplace to make it look like there's a fire. And I'm sure there's a way to do this. I just couldn't think of it. Now, the back picture, her name is Patricia, the one that's over the fireplace. Her frame is actually made out of these little peel and stick rhinestones, and then you paint them gold and distress them. So that's how that worked out. That is a gorgeous trim that I got. It is like an off-white color, and I painted it that gold and, of course, distressed it. And you can see more about that in my live stream, and I've included a link in the description below. And that's another one of those little boys that I got and gave him this really gothic look, because that's what I do. Anyway, I want to thank you all for watching this video, and please be sure you check out all the other videos in the playlist in the description below. And thank you so much, Annie, for hosting this fun collaboration. I do hope you will hit like and subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification button, because sometimes I make pretty good videos. And I do go live on Tuesdays making miniatures with Nancy at Little Treasures by Nancy. Thanks for watching. Bye.